But if you allow me to, all right, so now pivot back to the Lakers, who finally do win the championship. As you pointed out, 17th in the franchise history, tied with the Boston Celtics, being led by the LeBron James. So one of the questions that you asked earlier is, how does this affect the legacy of LeBron?
Yep. What does this mean for his legacy? Finals MVP, fourth championship. His 4 Finals MVPs puts him the only player behind his heirness for that, because it's MJ, then it's LeBron, and then it's like I think it's like Shaq, and I think Shaq is actually third because he has 3, or whatnot. So,
well, in that question, I think about, okay, what did Paul Pierce and Charles Barkley and I believe Kenny the Jet Smith say about LeBron recently and several months ago, and that was this: that he was not a top 10 player all time. Which in the eyes of LeBron himself, who hears everything, and in the eyes of a lot of people who have a greater appreciation for his accomplishments, we know that to not be true at all, that he's at least in the top 5. So I think to the doubters and the critics like them, he's at least worked his way into the top 5. Maybe not into the Mount Rushmore, maybe not past or equal to Michael Jordan, but he's at least worked his way into the top 5. Now, that's to them. To the MJ stands, we'll say, not the fans, because they're reasonable, the stands aren't. To the stands, I think that he did gain more respect for them, especially if they understood just how much more difficult and strange and unprecedented trying to win a championship under these conditions actually were.
Yeah.
So I think that he gained more respect from them. And I think that he's given the LeBron fans, and I guess the stands as well, a stronger argument to make that GOAT debate a little bit more interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah. So obviously this it could have done nothing but positive things for his legacy, but it was one he had to have. He could not walk back into LA, into the gym that Kobe built, and not have that championship trophy with him. This would have been the biggest failure of his career, and I don't think his legacy would have been able to bounce back from that. So he saved himself from that.
I was going to say that if they didn't win this championship, then it's toast for LeBron. To be quite honest, to be fair, his smartest move would be to retire, because there's no redemption from losing to the Miami Heat, who are down 2 key players, and they're basically hobbled the entire way.
And having been able to avoid the Clippers and the Bucks along the way.
Exactly. You missed out on all the big teams, and so that's your saving grace. And, I mean, that's similar to – we can talk about how Golden State missed out on a lot of big teams back in their runs. Right. But your point being with that, there was no turning on this one. They had to win this in 6. They couldn't even go to 7. And it was perfect. So, and like you said, this was my thing about Jimmy Butler. And I've told a few people this, and this is the one thing I don't understand about sports fans. Yes, these players play at a level that is unreal sometimes. But we also have to remember one key thing. They're human. The human body has limits, and Jimmy Butler showed it every single series. So even going back, they blew out Indiana. He scored 28, dropped to 18, shooting bad. Scored 27, shot kind of bad, then dropped to 6 to win the series. It was every first win against Milwaukee, 40, dropped to 13. Scored 30, dropped to 17, closed them out with 17. He teetered that, and it's all because of how much he exerts in getting everybody going. But the beauty of it is Pat Riley has that team built with a whole bunch of guys that want to work hard. That's where your plus is. But back to LeBron and them, LeBron, they had to win this. There was no choice. So to me, what this adds to his legacy is that he's done something that no one else has ever done. He's won 3 championships on 3 different teams. He's won 3 Finals MVPs on 3 different teams. He's the only player to do that with the Finals MVPs paired together.
Yes, that's true.
So he's created something new, which the next person in line to do that is Kawhi Leonard. He's the only person next, because he's got a Finals MVP with San Antonio, Finals MVP in Toronto. Now he has to figure out how to get the Clippers past the second round, which I don't think he will. But on that, the fun part about this championship win and everything was a few observations. First off, I still think it's funny that J.R. Smith didn't play a single minute in this, and he was the first person to take his shirt off and take a picture with the Larry O'Brien. If you notice, anything is possible. He didn't do nothing, but he walked out there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that they reached out to Avery Bradley and let him know this. Rob Pelinka reached out to him and said, your ring is on its way. You're part of this. Deion Waiters is probably the only player in NBA history to be guaranteed a ring, irregardless if he won or not.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's the only player. He was guaranteed. If Miami won, technically Miami would have sent him one because he was there for most of the season. Well, at least through the beginning of the season.
But he had that mushroom incident.
Exactly. Flying I think L.A. or Golden State, one of the two.
Yeah.
So anyway, beard,
Yeah.
mustache, bull. Anyway, and then D12, Dwight Howard. I think I was more happy for Dwight Howard, even as weird as he is.
Did you see his Instagram post?
I did.
Yeah.
He sent a message. He had tweeted out to Laker fans after he left the Lakers the first time and said, I'll make this up to you. And he kept his promise. He helped win a championship. He was pivotal in a lot of those games when they needed him. With Bam being hurt, you kind of didn't need him anymore because Bam wasn't playing at 100%. But at the beginning, he was causing problems.
Yeah. Could you say the same thing for JaVale McGee as well? And this is the part of coaching, being able to get a feel for how series change and evolve from game to game, what you need to do with your lineup. Because I know in this game he didn't start. Matter of fact, he only played, I believe, 1 minute or took one shot in this game. And they started Alex Caruso and said because Howard was getting abused on the pick and roll by Jimmy Butler. That's part of how he was able to do what he did in the fifth game. So just making those kind of switches. And you have to have guys who are willing to accept that, who understand it's not about you. Doesn't mean you're a bad player, but it's about what's best for the team that will help us to win and overcome these hurdles. And he had buy-in from day one. He knew he was going to be a role player. He knew they needed him to primarily defend, to try to control the paint a little bit more like he used to, and rebound, that you aren't going to score 15 a game. You're not going to score 20 a game. Hell, you're probably not even going to score 10 a game. But if you do what we ask you to do, that's going to put us in a position to win the championship, and that's exactly what they did.
Yep. And Rondo coming out there being national TV, Rondo looking like his old self. But last thing for me that I think is noteworthy to make mention as we get ready to pivot to the next to the news and the next topic. There was a quote on ABC that I thought was phenomenal, and it jumped out. And this was the quote. I talked to Cal. You know what he told me? AD got me my first. He's going to get you your first, too. This is Frank Vogel talking to Calipari. He reached out to him and let him know, hey, AD got me my first. He's going to get you yours, too. And boom!
There it is.
That's a quote, baby. That's a quote.